Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast, the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective. As always, follow us on all our social media platforms. Again, everywhere. Just search for Topper Talk, you'll find us. And this podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a spring game to recap. Tyler, man, you about ready to jump into that?
Yeah, man, let's jump into it, see what the showcase had to show us.
But before we do that, let's check out our Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up on all the athletics that we've missed since we last recorded. And that, of course, is brought to us by our sponsor, Trent Bedding Company. Let's get a word from them.
Don't forget your headboard, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twin, full, queen, and king. Mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
All right, we really need to do like for a Halloween episode, we need to dress up like his characters in there. I'll be the guy, the spy who shagged me, Austin Powers. I'm already calling that one. So moving into the Red Towel wrap up, start out with track. They participated in the Jim Green Invitational. Grace Turner, she finished fourth in pole vault. Ayla Basic was fourth in the hammer throw. Katie Eisenbarger won the high jump with a height of 1.85 meters. Kinley Kunkel finished seventh in the 5,000 meter run. Full results can be found on WKUsports.com.
Yeah, track meet, I think it was at UK, actually, if I recall correctly, at Jim Green Invitational. So it was in the Lexington area in the Big Blue Nation and enemy territory. Had a lot of good results, had a lot of top 10 finishes, several top 5 finishes. We tried to highlight several of those. Again, too many results to list and go through everybody, but just, several of our performers, both on the track and the field, had good outings. So love to hear it as always.
Moving on, tennis, they lost sadly to La Tech 0-4 in the Conference USA tournament. Softball beat MTSU 6-2 in game 1, 4-2 in game 2, and 3-0 in game 3. So bring out them brooms, gets a series sweep. WKU softball received some big red sliding mitts courtesy of Kelly Wilson and ARIA. TJ Webster was named Conference USA Player of the Week.
Yeah, I posted it on Twitter. After that 100 miles of hate sleep, I said 100 miles of sleep, 100 miles of broom. Just whatever you want to call it, man. It's always a good day when you beat MTSU. It's nice to see the softball team get back on track and putting some wins on the board. And then TJ Webster, I think she was something like 11 out of 13 in the series. So just had a really good series at the plate and helped lead us to victory for that rivalry sweep. So love to see it.
You probably won't hear my dog barking in the background. Moving on to baseball, they beat Liberty 6-4 in game 1, 10-7 in game 2, and 5-4 in game 3. Another series sweep, which you just love to see. 4 straight series sweeps for the baseball tops. They've won 11 of their last 14 games and are 10-4 in Conference USA play, 28-12 overall. And Mason Burns leads the nation in saves with getting his 12th. WKU baseball moved up to, also speaking of 12, they moved up to the number 12th spot in the mid-majors ranking.
Yeah, buy stock in our WKU baseball team because Coach Rardon has them playing better than the baseball team and program has played in a long time. I know when he was hired last year, come in with a lot of expectations, finished the year strong last year. This offseason, we've talked about several times, there was a lot of turnover. A lot of people hit the portal. A lot of people threw up their hands and were worried about, how we were going to look this year. All we've done is move to first place in the conference, beat Dallas Baptist a couple weekends ago, beat Louisville at home a couple weeks ago, 4 series in a row. Now we've won 10-4 in Conference USA play, 28-12 on the year. There's not anything bad you can say about this team. We're pitching well. We have good hitters up and down the lineup, and obviously a good reliever to come in and close games. He's now leading the nation after getting his 11th and 12th in the series victory over Liberty. So, man, baseball tops. Keep it going.
Now moving on to the men's golf. They're at the Conference USA Championship. WKU in 7th spot after round 1. Luke Fuller is currently tied for 1st. Nick Hoffman tied for 13th. Riley Grindstaff tied for 23rd. Stephen Warren, he's not tied. He's sitting at the 39th spot. And Gage Dull in 40th.
Yeah, that is ongoing. The first round was just completed earlier today. It's Monday as we record. It's Monday night. So rounds 2 and 3 will be Tuesday and Wednesday. We're currently in 7th, but we do have an individual that's tied for the lead. So really, we just need those couple, Stephen and Gage on the bottom there at 39th and 40th. We just need them to come up a little bit and help us, sneak into that top 5, top 3 maybe, and just finish this tournament out strong.
All right, now moving on to some WKU women's basketball signings and commits that they have got. The first one is Mariama Sal, Salma Kadir, Tatum Botcher. Sorry if I butchered y'all's names. I am sorry. Please accept my apology. And WKU basketball announced the official signing of Julia Stedford as 6'3" shooting guard from Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, sorry, Tatum, if he butchered your name. See what I did there? Yeah, sorry. I'll stop now. I won't quit my day job. But yeah, nice to see some commitments for women's basketball. We've had a few hit the portal, and then WKU basketball. Hank Plona announced the signing of a shooting guard from Memphis, Tennessee. Had a really good summer last year. Blew up. Was originally committed to Missouri State, if I'm not mistaken. They fired their coach at the end of this last season, so he reopened his commitment and now has joined us here on the Hill. Now, I don't think we're done. Don't be surprised if we see a couple more, transfers or signees join the team. Scholarships, I'm not really worried about, how many we have left are available. That stuff always works itself out. I expect Hank and staff to continue to build, the best possible team that we can put on the court for next season.
And WKU football announced the promotion of Travis Taylor to chief of staff and announced Jeray Thurman as director of player personnel. That concludes the Red Towel wrap-up brought to you by the Trent Bedding Company located here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, man, those last two, Travis Taylor, nice to see someone internally get that promotion, after Nick Eulenhop left and vacated that chief of staff position and went to the Red Towel Trust as the executive director. So love to see that internal promotion. And then Jeray Thurman coming on as director of player personnel, which was Travis's old position. So, bringing in good, strong staff members, people that can continue to help this team grow and get better, and just have just a good program from top to bottom. All the support staff down to, equipment, everybody. We need solid people, and I think that's what we have here with those two people added to the team and elevated. Now, jumping into the spring game recap this past Saturday, 2 p.m., it was a lovely day for football, man. We got the link up. It kind of felt, I had a little bit of deja vu. It felt like we were just there, a year ago for basically what was our first episode. It was our first real content episode. Our intro episode just over a year ago was really just introducing us, who we are, what we're about, what the podcast was going to do and not do. So that spring game recap last year was our first true episode. So it was kind of nice to be back there. Obviously watching football, hadn't got to watch any since December. Like I said, it was a beautiful day. It was sunny outside. for the most part. If you're sitting in the shade and the wind kicked up a little bit, it got a little cool out there. But for an April, spring game, it was a really, really awesome time. Nice to be out there. Obviously, I was glad that we got to link up and take in some football, man. So tell me, just what's your at a glance, thoughts on the spring game and what we got to take in Saturday.
Well, I think our wide receiver core is going to be great this year. We saw Dalvin Smith getting some passes. He could be used as a deep pass this season, and Easton Messer, he was continuing to show what he can do once he gets the ball in his hands. I think the QB battle is going to be pretty interesting between Finley and Veltkamp. We'll hopefully hear about and see maybe some sneak peeks of what that can come. But I mean, overall, I think the offense is going to be good. The defense kind of, this is more an offensive showcase. Even though there was one interception thrown, they're kind of, I guess, at the end of the game or close to the end. But overall, I wasn't disappointed with the team, man.
Yeah, it was, like you said, it was mainly an offensive showcase. Defense was just playing two-hand touch. They weren't getting real aggressive, blitzing a lot, like Tyson Hilton mentioned after the game in his interview. But yeah, the quarterback battle is definitely, the talk of the spring game and what's going on there and who's winning the battle. Worth noting that Caden Veltkamp came out and led the first series. I wouldn't read too much into that. I think that just coin flip. That's who came out with the first teamers first. We did have a lot of players that sat out this game that didn't even play. Quintavious Leslie was not playing. Several others just never even went. Yeah, I know Quintavious Leslie. Yeah, just all conference guard that we have been on the team for a few years. So he was in the portal. He came back, but he's rehabbing. Didn't play in the game. We had several that didn't play in the game, but people we did see on the field, like you said, the offense looked pretty good. TJ Finley had a 41-yard completion to Dalvin Smith early. Caden Veltkamp threw a 35-yard touchdown to Dalvin. Then TJ Finley came in later and threw a 17-yard touchdown pass to Easton Messer. Wide receiver Jaleel Walker had a couple touchdown catches. Caden Veltkamp overall, he led 3 offensive drives. 2 of those ended in touchdowns. One of those in a field goal. Finley led a field goal drive, and then he had a touchdown later. So, those 2 didn't disappoint. And, right now, obviously, there's not a starter being named. Coming out of this game, there's probably not going to be a starter named until, the second, maybe into the 3rd week of August. In fall camp, we might see an official naming of who is going to be QB1 leading into Alabama. So, the early takeaways are, both of these guys look good on the field. They had good command and control of the offense. They were making good throws, and they had good targets that were catching balls and making plays on the other end of those throws. So, really happy with how both of those guys looked. I don't know that if there is a leader in the clubhouse right now. I don't know who it is. I think it's still an open competition. Obviously, we know what Caden did last year to end the season in the bowl game. We know about TJ Finley, coming from LSU, Auburn, and most recently at Texas State, had a really good season last year over in the Sun Belt Conference. So it's anybody's race right now, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. Obviously, once we get into fall ball, I think we'll know a little bit more about who's getting those reps with the ones. Well, Tyler, what are your thoughts on those main 2 before we jump into the other quarterbacks that we got to see?
Well, what between Veltkamp and Finley, we sit there and we saw what Veltkamp did whenever he was put in for trash time. All last season, really had some interceptions, some bad passes. TJ Finley, I had to go back and watch some tape on him because he's kind of like the unknown commodity. I mean, both of them as tall as hell. And, it made, I think I even mentioned to you, I was like, man, that halfback looks like Veltkamp's kid. Like, it was crazy how tall they are. I don't know. I saw Finley has, he has some good passes, especially that 41-yard pass to Dalvin. And Veltkamp, he turned around and he would lead a good drive down the field and end up in the end zone. So I mean, right now it's just too close to tell, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I think no matter who wins that starting job, we're going to be in good hands. And even more promising, whoever wins, we're going to have pretty good backup. No matter whoever wins, that other person is going to be pushing that person to be even better. And if something happens, unfortunate injury, whatever, something happens and the backup has to come in, still going to feel pretty good about it because both of those guys have shown that they can throw the ball. They're both pretty mobile. Ran some here in this game. So just really impressed, and I think both of those guys are capable of leading this program and having a good season. The other guys, Turner Helton, did come in the game. He had a pair of touchdown passes. One of those was to Jaleel Walker, who had 2 on the day, and then the other one was to Denzel Alyin. So, just a good showing by Turner. Obviously, he got to play and start the famous Toastery Bowl game, but ultimately got down, 21-0. We turned to Caden, and the rest is history, as they say. But I was impressed by Turner. He came in and had good control of the offense. That's what you want to see out of a backup. Maybe he never starts another game here at Western. I don't know. If it happens, it does. If not, he just needs to be a serviceable backup and just know the offense and just be ready. If his time comes, be ready. And then freshman Tucker Parks came in the game. And I think what stood out to both of us was his mobility. I mean, that boy took off and ran a couple times and, he can move. Really impressed by his mobility. He did lead a 72-yard drive that ultimately ended up in that Virgil Marshall interception. And if I'm not mistaken, on that interception, he was running him down. Like, Parks took that personal. Was like, all right, I'm coming to get this ball, put you out of bounds. So, even the backups, I thought they looked really good. Obviously a true freshman in Tucker Parks, you're hoping he doesn't play and he just redshirts and maybe looks to be a future quarterback here at Western, if he sticks with the program. But I was impressed by his mobility. Didn't throw the ball a ton, but I'm sure, as he gets more acquainted and familiar with the offense and wide receivers, heading into fall ball, I think we'll see more of that. So what about these other two guys? What about Turner Helton and Tucker Park? What did you see and like with those guys?
Well, it's like you said with Travis Parks. I mean, that boy had set of wheels on him, and he wasn't going to stop, unless he was forced to, which two-hand touch. I'm not a big fan of two-hand touch rules, but Helton, he has to know the offense, especially with your uncle being the head coach. I think he's a very good backup. Starter, no. I just don't see that. But Parks, maybe the best case for him is to redshirt and, develop. And then, here in a few years, he comes in and if he has the arm strength that, he can put on, mixed with his speed, great dual threat QB that could also be a nightmare to opposing teams. So, I mean, I think the future is bright as right now. Who knows what's going to happen whenever a starter is named. I hope they both, whoever doesn't get it, stays. But no, man, I mean, I think with the QB room right now, I think there's no way you shouldn't be impressed or at least excited with what's going on there.
Yeah, and we talked about the defense earlier, just basically being a two-hand touch showcase. So there's not a lot to take away defensively from this game. But the one player that did stand out was Virgil Marshall. He had the interception. We talked about it earlier. He also had a pass breakup in the end zone earlier in the game. So nice to see him standing out and having a good showing. He talked about after the game, he had a rough spring, but he trusted the process, just kept his nose down, kept working, and it paid off here in the spring game. So hoping that he becomes a defensive leader as we head into fall ball and obviously into the regular season. As we were watching the spring showcase, I keep wanting to say spring game, but the spring showcase, both you and I kind of mentioned, noticed that we weren't really running a lot of run plays. It seemed to be a lot of intermediate and short passes. I did find it interesting, though. We ran 35 run plays out of the 95 total snaps in the game. And that was from Jeff Nations. He recapped the game on Bowling Green Daily News. So about a third of the plays were running plays, which was more than I expected. But I like to see that mix. I'd like to see it in that 33 to 40% range, to have that nice balance of offense, keep teams guessing, not just dropping, 5 into coverage and daring you to throw. If you got to be able to show that you can run the ball. And obviously, we've got some guys that can run the ball. Both of our quarterbacks are mobile. QB1, whoever that is, Finley and Caden can both run. Elijah Young, returning running back. He obviously showed last year. He was kind of part of that three-headed monster between him, Step, and Urban Poindexter, and he kind of just separated himself last year and became that lead workhorse back. And fittingly so, this year he was named the Spring Ball Offensive MVP. And then the defensive MVPs were Upton Stout, who obviously returns after flirting with the transfer portal, and then Anthony Johnson Jr., who just recently entered the transfer portal. So, nice to see those guys getting some recognition. Hopefully that leads to good fall ball, good regular season. Elijah Young, I think he has a lot of potential. He's a big boy, and when he gets the lion's share of the carries, he can be a game changer for us. And we saw that he can even catch the ball in the backfield. So that's a dangerous weapon to have. And now he's not going to be sharing carries, as much as he was last year. He's going to be the guy coming into this season. And I'm excited for him. I hope that the spring ball offensive MVP carries over into a really good regular season, and I expect it will. Same with Upton Stout. Then I also found it interesting that Katie Hutchinson was named the most improved offensive player, and Dallas Walker was named the most improved defensive player. So again, a couple of young guys there. Both of them were on the roster last year, but stepping up, as players graduate and exhaust eligibility and transfer out, young guys have to step up, and that's what they're doing, and they're improving. And now they've got another 4+ months to continue to improve and earn some time on the field. So I'm excited for it. Tyler, go ahead and give me your thoughts on any of those guys and just what else you saw at the spring game.
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you my wife's I think she's about to walk in the door. So the dogs may, if you want to pause it. All right, so you got Virgil Marshall. The one thing I kind of didn't like about that was he did intercept, which I did like that, but he was also chased down by Travis Parks. If your defensive back is getting chased down by
Tucker Parks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tucker Parks. Sorry, Tucker. Whenever he's getting chased down by a freshman QB, you might want to put some more speed, more giddy up in your horse, if you ask me. We can't let this go by without mentioning Lucas Canario. He came in and he did kick a 47-yard field goal. He hit a few. He missed one though. It was wide left. Wind really wasn't blowing, so I can't remember exactly how far out he was. Dante McCray, he won the Al Almond Award. Then you had Alex Ford, defensive back. He was earned the Jimbo DeVries Outstanding Walk-On Award, which is I guess you could say a good signal, because he won that. Dude's putting in the work. I think you mentioned Evan Wibberly. He won the Darryl Drake Award. So, with the defense, I wish it was kind of more. I wish it showcased some of that a little bit, because, that's half your team. It's very important, or I guess a third of your team if you count special teams. It's important, and it's good to know what your defense is bringing to the table, because here in the last few seasons, or especially last season, we kind of relied on them a lot, because we got in some games that they shouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been close had the defense not stepped up. The whole bend don't break thing. But yeah, I think overall the team is in good hands. With Hilton, he can pull magic or a rabbit out of a hat. And then you're right. I think with Elijah Young, coming back and being right now the main back. I kind of like that a little bit better than doing the running backs by committee, because if you are the main one, you get into a groove, right? You ain't got to share that, and if you can come out of the backfield and catch some balls, and you ain't just one dimensional running back, I mean, that's even more the better. So, like I said, there's a whole lot I like about this team. We do have experience coming back on the defense, like Upton Stout, which I'm excited to see him back on the field. I'm glad he didn't stay in that portal and land somewhere else. I'm glad we was able to get him back. And also with Dante McCray, both of them are going to be good, and they're going to bring experience back to this defense. And that's something we're definitely going to need. So, yeah.
Yeah, you talked about Lucas missing a field goal. He knocked down a couple of big ones as well. Yeah, that 47-yarder. I think he had another one that was like 50. It might have just been warm-ups. I don't remember, but he was banging them through from deep. And we didn't see any punting in this game. I don't know if that was just by design or if they just didn't get to fourth down and need to punt. But that is another question mark area. Obviously, Tom Ellard has gone from the team. He's gone on to Northern State there in the Dakotas, I think South Dakota. And then Corey Munson that filled in for him at the end of last season, exalted hit the eligibility. So, that's an open spot, open competition right now. Who's going to be, punter one, as I always say, QB1, wide receiver one? Who's going to be punter one coming into this season? I don't know. But I think that's a position that, it doesn't get talked about a lot unless there's something bad going on. So, we kind of want to know and need to know, and hopefully whomever steps up and fills that role is somebody that's capable of filling those shoes that Tom and Corey left, because those were big shoes to fill. It's an important position on the field. You don't hope they see the field a lot, but when they do, you want them to flip the field, pin your opponent, back on the goal line. But we'll see. We'll talk about that more in fall ball. Again, it was great to be back out there watching some spring ball, getting some football juices going, just getting to watch, just fun to be out there at the couch, taking in the football game with you, obviously. The other surprising thing that's come since the spring game is there's not been a lot of transfer portal entries since the game ended. I really thought that, as soon as the game ended, we'd see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. It just kind of happens every year. You see a handful of guys, kind of a flurry hit the portal. I think we've only seen 2 or 3 guys hit the portal. We've also had a couple commitments that just happened over the last couple of days. We'll talk about those guys and announce those when they're officially signed. But we've had a couple offensive linemen and a wide receiver that have committed. So looking forward to getting to talk about them. And then as we go through the summer, we'll talk about any portal defections or anybody that we add officially when they happen. And then when the Field Steel magazine comes out in June, we'll start our position recap. We'll go through each position just like we did last year, both offense and defense. We'll talk about every single player on the roster. We'll talk about who's left, who's not with us anymore, who's still with us, and what we expect from each position group, breakout players, MVPs, bold predictions, just all that stuff. We will lean and rely heavily on the Field Steel magazine when it comes out. Looking forward to that. And then also just, this summer, the spring sports are wrapping up now. Baseball and softball, tennis just ended. Golf close to ending. Track and field will be ending soon. So, we'll have an opportunity to, maybe do some interviews with some, former athletes or staff, or who knows who else could pop on the show. But I, expect to fill those several weeks of no sports, no Hilltopper athletics going on. We'll share any relevant news and then talk to some people and just, feel that time of the summer when there's not a lot going on. But man, I'm really looking forward to football. It's nice to be back out there. I think it's 130, 40-ish days until the Alabama game kicks off. Can't wait. August 31st, be in Tuscaloosa, man. If you've never been there, make the trip. I know I went in 2012 and 2016 when we played down there. Can't wait to go back, man. It's a great college football environment. They tailgate big. The stadium is huge. It's just an amazing experience. It's definitely top shelf P5 football, and I think everyone should experience that. It's a fun trip to make. They'll pay us, however many million, 1.3 they're paying us, and hopefully we'll go give them an upset L, man. That's what we need to do. Break in that new coach with a freshly baked L in Tuscaloosa. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. Football season will be here before you know it. We'll be recapping positions. Again, I'm ready to just dive in and talk about all these guys from the spring game, especially as we get into fall camp, talk about everybody on this roster. Yeah, I really enjoy that part of it. I know when we talked about last year, it really makes anyone listening that much better of a fan because you get familiar with every single person and name on this roster in every position. So I'm really looking forward to that. Spring ball was great. Now we look forward to summer, then obviously fall ball, and then, the regular season will be here before you know it. So Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out of here.
Y'all definitely don't want to miss some of the guests that we're going to have, some of the interviews. They're definitely going to be worth a good listen. And I'm excited about that, being since I'm going to be here for almost all of them. I don't see no reason that I shouldn't be unless it's around August 13th, and I may have to take a short leave of absence. But we'll cross that bridge when it gets here. Be living off caffeine, though. But no, whenever the Phil Steele magazine comes out, like we did last year with the position breakdown, like, dude, doing that breakdown made me, I feel like, such a better fan because, you're just not seeing a number on a field. You're actually studying these guys. You're actually going through, you're reading their stats. You're seeing what they can do, what they can't do, what they did last year. It's a great thing. And if all Western fans, kind of want to get an insight view into that and listen to us to even get a better insight view into the football team, definitely pick up some of that book or one of those books. But no, around summertime, I love the summertime, but I do get excited for that fall weather and that, seeing all them footballs flying in the air. But man, there's a lot to be excited for. There's a lot to be hopeful for. And softball team right now is hot. Baseball team's even hotter. Everybody needs to go out and watch both of those teams play while they're at home. If you go to the baseball games, you can get on the party deck, have a few adult beverages, I believe, and yell and cheer and support the Tops any way that you can. And with that, I will say, Moth, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Nobody.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Later, guys.
See you.